I'm here with Arkansas State Senator Bryan King, and Arkansas passed a really strong voucher program for the state. It was hailed as a revolutionary conservative measure. Senator King, Republican from Green Forest, voted against that bill, and he's here to tell us why. Senator King, was it a conservative bill?
Well, I mean, I think that, Governor Sanders, I give her credit. She did try and put education in the forefront, and she did try to, make a conversation that had, just been talked about for years. And I mean, I give her credit on political courage. It's probably one of the most courageous fights I've seen a governor take on an issue, and with a lot of things. My vote against the LEARNS bill was based on three principles. One was, as we talked about in the other session, is how are you going to pay for it? I mean, it was a big expansion and extra spending. They said that we're counting on new money. And when they say new money, they're just expecting the economy to be better and for this money to keep flowing in and pay for these exponentially increased costs.
They're counting on new money. They're cutting nothing. They're adding this program. Did they say how much money?
Well, they were saying 150 million next year, 300 million the next year, and then it just kind of exponentially keeps going up. I think there's a lot of unknowns about the voucher program, how much people's going to participate in that. But it doesn't just increase spending. When I say increase spending, I mean, like, when I say increase spending, it says, let's say Mark Moore's program is going to increase spending $20 million next year. 3 years from now, it's going to be close to $20 million. Okay. This program, the Education LEARNS Act, will exponentially increase spending, meaning it's going to be 150 million this year, like 300 million the next year, and then it just keeps going up. So we know that education, they're going to keep spending more. There's been nothing to show that we've spent less in education.
All right.
So it was just an exponentially increased spending program with not offsetting cuts. I felt like the overall budget should have stayed flat. That's my thing, is that the budget should have stayed flat, and any program that you wanted to do that expanded it should either be offset with coordinating reduction somewhere else, or basically coming up a way to pay for the program without increasing spending.
How is it conservative to vote for a program that has exponentially increasing spending and no countervailing cuts? They redefine conservative to mean people who spend a lot of other people's money.
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier. That is a big problem. And I see it with the Republican Party. I mean, you look up in Washington, D.C., I mean, they're spending money like crazy. It doesn't matter which party in. I mean, the idea on increasing the debt limit, you know what? If you keep spending flat, well, then you're not going to bump the debt ceiling that you set before. And we all know the game there. In Arkansas, like I said, I ask people all the time, I said, do you think the economy 3 years from now or 4 years from now, do you think it's going to be better than it is now, about the same, or worse? Well, almost to a T, even ones on the Democrat side, was that I would count on it. At least the most optimistic answer I heard was it's not going to be much better, if any at all. So no change. And then a lot of them say, well, I'd probably count on worse with everything going on. Well, here's the thing. As you go, if spending keeps going up like this and your revenues are staying flat or going down, what's going to happen? They're going to intersect eventually, looking down the road. And it was like last time in the last segment, I told you, everything now is about the filing period, trying to stave off opponents from even filing. I mean, most races are won now at the filing period. The second time they're won is during the primary, from March to May, and mostly in Republican primaries. And that's where you vote the special interest money, you get everything you can, and then you just lie and mislead people. And we use these tags called conservatism. But the main thing is with this, that increase in spending exponentially with any program at all in this economic times with everything going on, to me, was not the wise path to go.
Now I do some back of the envelope calculating. It's astounding how many people are not in public school, how many children are not in public school. Nationwide, it's almost 1/4 are not in public school. They're doing some other thing. My children are homeschooling, for example. And so that is, for every 3 children in public school, there's 1 not in public school. So that implies if they all take advantage of this new program, that is 1/3 additional cost to what we're doing now. That is over $1 billion a year, which is over $1,000 a year for, I believe, back of the envelope here, for every taxpayer, every person that has a full-time job in Arkansas. $1,000 a year extra just to pay for this one program. And they didn't think about where the money would come. And to me, there's only 2 things they can do. They can either raise taxes, cut something else, or they can start restricting access to the program. They get elected, like you said, they just want to get past the filing period. And then once that gets over, then you find out Walmart wants to start a school, a private incorporated school, and get that money. And it wasn't really meant so that your local church can start its own church school and get taxpayer money, but they're either going to find a way to weed those out, or the cost is going to bankrupt the state. I don't see any other alternative. Do you have any insight on that from the bill, which way they're going to go?
No, I mean, that was some of the questions that I asked, and they even said on the Senate floor in year 3, we really don't know how we're going to pay for it. Well, that's when I started having the more serious concerns. I do think this. I think the governor has been, being a new governor, and I believe her intentions on trying to do education, I believe she had pure and good intentions. And I think that the insiders down there and the ones that's been misleading people on Medicaid and misleading people on the budget and doing a lot of stuff, I believe that they have created a picture that says that, hey, we can do this. And they've been used to bailouts down there. We went off this financial cliffs in Arkansas twice, and they just get bailouts. And so that's where I think it lies. I think the second part is, and it's something that me and you've had discussions we may disagree, is on the voucher program. So the voucher, the programs that somebody to get the vouchers, I think has to be approved by the state. They did not let us know the rules and regulations beforehand. They're going to do that in legislative council afterwards. So you're going to have to pass it and then do the rules and regulations. I'm a little bit more, if I'm going to be making this kind of deal in education, I want to know as much on the front end before, and it may be innocuous. It may not be that bad. It may not, but on this kind of deal, I would rather know the rules on the front end. So I think with the voucher program, one of the things I say is that I think that we should, have some type of program that has achievement first, and then the payment comes. I know that's against some of the things that people say, but I think that if you have like some type of basics, and I think that the state needs to get back into basically, for the most part, educating back to the basics, and let's not get off into some of the things that we're doing. Now, that doesn't mean we can't have training programs and things for work and things like that. But so I think with the voucher program, I think that it's going to be very tough to know what's going to happen. And it's going to be the thing, as I say in politics today, it's like an old farmer used to ask him the question all the time, how's this going to go or whatever? And his answer would be, well, we'll know more later. And I think that's the answer. We're going to know more later.
All right. So when you're talking about, I'm a lazy son of a gun. Me rolling out of bed every morning and going to work to earn $1,000 to give to the state, and that's if they let everybody in, which means if the local mosque wants to start a Islamic school, they've got to give them the money too. Otherwise, they get sued. And I predict someone is going to get sued, or they have some insider plan where, like I said, Wall School opens up a chain of schools and they limit it like they did with the marijuana thing and made a big mess out of that when it could have been very simple. And so it basically is just more graft. I am paying for one education system right now that I am not using. I have 3 children. I do not send them to public school. And I taught public school for 12 years in Arkansas. I'm not sending them to public school. I'm homeschooling. I'm not going to take the money because I don't believe in, they want to take the tests. I don't believe in high stakes testing. I think the people that write the test have too much power. I don't agree with their values. I don't agree with what they're teaching. But I'm going to have to pay for a second government education program that I disagree with. And
Well, and that's just it. We don't know the rules and regulations of what's